At CascadeTech, a Seattle-based tech firm, the cleaning crew was a part of the daily rhythm, yet rarely truly seen. They were nocturnal guardians of order, spectral figures who materialized after hours, vacuuming the plush, high-traffic carpets, emptying bins overflowing with the detritus of innovation, and polishing the gleaming glass doors that framed the city's skyline. Their presence was as unobtrusive as the gentle hum of the servers, a soft jazz backdrop to the relentless symphony of progress. Employees barely noticed them, not out of malice but out of routine. They were just there. Then came a Tuesday morning, typically gray and rainy, casting a melancholic sheen over Seattle's bustling tech district. The main lobby of CascadeTech headquarters was already a hive of activity, a dynamic tableau of ambition and caffeine. Keyboards clattered like 1,000 tiny drum rolls, developers huddled in intense whispered debates about code, and interns, fresh-faced and eager, juggled multiple coffee cups with a precarious grace. Elias Vance, CascadeTech's formidable CEO, a man who moved with the purposeful stride of someone perpetually 5 steps ahead, was making his usual swift ascent from the parking garage to his 20th floor executive office. He was already mentally reviewing his morning agenda when a voice, clear and distinct, stopped him dead in his tracks. It was a voice weaving effortlessly through Korean, crisp and fluent, spoken with the natural cadence of a native. Elias froze, not because it was Korean, he navigated global markets for years, but because of who was speaking it. Near the lobby, sleek digital kiosk, stood a woman in a modest gray janitor's uniform, her dark braided hair pulled back neatly, a stark contrast to the casual elegance of the tech employees milling around her. She was calmly assisting a lost-looking visitor, a man in a tweed coat whose bewildered expression spoke volumes of cultural disorientation. Lena Petrova, as Elias would soon learn, was guiding him toward the elevators, her directions precise and delivered with an innate sense of calm. Elias squinted. He'd seen her before, countless times late at night, pushing her cleaning cart down desolate hallways, always quiet, always efficient, a background fixture. He didn't know her name. He didn't even know she was anything more than the cleaning lady. As if on cue, Lena finished the Korean conversation, her tone polite and reassuring. Then, without missing a beat, she turned to a courier struggling with a bulky package. Entrega para la sala de conferencias 3B, por favor, she stated, switching to flawless Spanish. The courier, looking surprised, nodded quickly. Next, her attention shifted to a flustered intern, wrestling with a mislabeled crate near the mailroom. Kore wa kaigishitsu si ni todokemasu. Shita no kaide, she explained in smooth, articulate Japanese, pointing a clear path. Elias Vance, a CEO who prided himself on his global vision, felt his curiosity piqued, then ignited. He had led countless global product launches, hired entire teams of expensive interpreters, and navigated complex cross-cultural deals for decades. Yet here, in the beating heart of his own headquarters, a janitor was not merely translating. She was outshining his entire international team with an effortless display of linguistic mastery. It wasn't just the languages, it was the composure, the subtle authority in her voice, the immediate understanding she fostered. He stepped closer, his executive stride replaced by a measured approach, a strange sense of wonder washing over him. "Excuse me?" he inquired, his voice softer than usual. She turned, her movements composed, her expression cautious, as if expecting to be told she'd misplaced a cleaning supply. "Yes, sir," she replied, her voice steady and clear. "That was Korean, wasn't it?" he asked, a hint of disbelief in his tone. "Yes, sir." "And Spanish? Japanese?" She nodded, a faint flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. "Also Mandarin, Russian, Hindi, Italian, Arabic, and some conversational Vietnamese." Her voice remained steady, matter-of-fact, as if enumerating items on a grocery list, rather than an extraordinary skill set. Elias blinked, once, twice. His mind, accustomed to rapid-fire calculations, struggled to process this. 9 languages? He finally managed. "Yes, sir." The sheer, unadorned simplicity of her answer struck him more profoundly than any boast could have. This was not a performance. This was just who she was. What's your name? Lena Petrova. Ms. Petrova, Elias said, his voice now imbued with a newfound respect. Do you have a moment to talk in my office? Her eyes flickered with a brief moment of hesitation, a fleeting glimpse of surprise or perhaps apprehension, before she gave a quiet, firm nod. All right. The silence in the executive elevator, typically filled with Elias's urgent mental to-do lists, hung briefly, heavy with unspoken questions. Lena broke it, her voice carrying a trace of an old weariness. I've been here 9 years, she observed as the floors ticked by, each ascending digit a step into an unexpected future. Never thought I'd see the executive suite. Elias smiled, a genuine, unforced smile that reached his eyes. Things can change fast, he replied, a subtle hint of his own past struggles, of opportunities that had once seemed out of reach. The elevator doors glided open to the 20th floor, revealing a sleek hallway of glass walls, warm cedar accents, and an almost palpable scent of ambition. Elias's assistant, Maria, usually unflappable, raised an eyebrow at the sight of the CEO accompanying a janitor, but quickly composed herself, waving them through. In his expansive office with its panoramic views of the city, Elias gestured toward a plush leather chair. The walls were a testament to his global reach. A vast world map, bristling with project pins, next to a cherished photo of his son, and a gleaming tech award from Tokyo. It was a space designed for strategy, for vision, for shaping the future. So, Lena, Elias began, leaning forward, his posture open and curious. How does someone who speaks 9 languages end up cleaning our offices? It wasn't a judgment, but a question born of genuine disbelief and a profound sense of oversight. Lena met his gaze, her composure unwavering. You want the real story? She asked, a challenge in her tone. I asked, didn't I? Elias countered gently, a flicker of his own past prompting his empathy. She exhaled slowly, a soft release of years of unspoken struggle. Grew up in Tacoma, single mom. No frills, she began, her voice steady, devoid of self-pity. She was a bus driver, worked double shifts, taught me to read before I could tie my shoes. She believed in education, in knowledge. Lena paused, a faint, almost wistful smile touching her lips. I won a scholarship to UW, studied computational linguistics, was on track for a PhD when my mom got cancer. It came fast, hit hard. Her voice tightened almost imperceptibly. I dropped out to care for her. There was no question. Family comes first. Elias listened, his face an unreadable mask of concentration. His own mother had instilled in him a similar work ethic, a belief in enduring. He understood the profound weight of such a decision. After she passed, I had my son, Lena continued, her gaze drifting to the city outside the window. No savings, no support network, just me and him. Took whatever work I could find. Warehouses, call centers, then this. The night shifts. They let me be there for him during the day, after school. He was little then. Needed me. The weight of her words settled heavily in the quiet executive office. Elias, a man who had navigated cutthroat deals, found himself humbled by her raw honesty. But the languages? He prompted, returning to the core of his fascination. I never stopped, she said, meeting his eyes again, a quiet intensity in her gaze. Not really. Apps on my phone, library books, podcasts in 7 languages at a time. It's how I stay sharp. It's who I am. It's a part of my mind that no one could take away, even when everything else felt out of control. It wasn't a hobby. It was a lifeline, a testament to an unquenchable intellectual curiosity. Elias leaned back, the truth of her words sinking deep. The world was full of untapped potential, hidden in plain sight, dismissed by assumptions and conventional metrics. You ever think about doing more? He asked, the gears in his mind already turning, a grand design taking shape. She shrugged, a gesture of resignation more than indifference. Dreams don't pay rent. Elias said nothing, simply picked up a pen and began scribbling furiously in his leather-bound notebook, a flurry of ideas born from Lena's story. "What's that?" she asked, curiosity finally breaking through her calm demeanor. "Ideas," he said, a glint in his eye, already envisioning something big, something unprecedented. That afternoon, Elias Vance, the CEO of CascadeTech, found himself in the basement supply room, a place few executives ever visited. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and cardboard. He found Lena Petrova, her back to him, diligently restocking disinfectant sprays, her movements precise and practiced. "Mind if I interrupt?" he asked, his voice echoing slightly in the utilitarian space. She turned, startled. "You came here?" The question was laced with genuine surprise. "Need a favor," he said, cutting straight to the chase. "Our Tokyo team's here and our translator just bailed last minute. Flight delay, emergency, typical corporate drama. Can you handle Japanese for a high-stakes meeting?" She looked at him, her gaze unwavering. "I can." Conference room 5A was a pressure cooker. The air hummed with barely contained tension as the CascadeTech team, led by Elias, faced the stoic, formally dressed Japanese executives. A critical licensing deal was on the table, and without a reliable translator, the negotiations were stalling, bogged down by miscommunication and cultural nuances lost in translation. Elias introduced Lena simply as our new interpreter. She entered the room with quiet confidence, a stark contrast to the previous translator's frantic energy. As she began to speak, her flawless Japanese filled the room, not just translating words but conveying intent, emotion, and subtle cultural cues. She eased the palpable tension among the visiting developers, bridging not just a language gap, but a cultural one. At one point, she even tossed back a quick, culturally appropriate joke that sparked genuine laughter, something Elias's previous interpreters had rarely achieved. Elias watched, utterly awed, as the dynamic in the room shifted, warming, becoming more collaborative. After the meeting, as the Japanese executives were leaving, their lead negotiator, a stern man named Kenji Tanaka, approached Elias. "Mr. Vance," he said, his voice surprisingly warm, "your interpreter. She's better than our usual interpreters. She understands us." Back in the hallway, as Lena gathered her notes, Elias couldn't help but ask, "Ever done professional translation before this? Just for neighbors, community centers when someone needed help with forms or understanding a doctor?" she said, a slight shrug. "No degree, no time for professional training. My son came first." Elias nodded, the pieces of Lena's story, her capabilities and her choices, falling into place. That night he sat in his car, rain streaking the windshield, the city lights blurring into watery smears. He was thinking about untapped potential, about the rigid structures that often prevented brilliance from shining. The answer, he realized with a sudden jolt, wasn't in some far-off Silicon Valley headhunting firm. It was already right there, in his building, in the quiet, unassuming form of Lena Petrova. The next morning, Lena's supervisor, Maria, flagged her down near the staff entrance, her expression a mix of bewilderment and excitement. "Lena, Mr. Vance wants you upstairs, immediately." Lena's heart gave a little lurch. Despite the success of the previous day, years of being an overlooked employee made her first thought one of apprehension. "Did I mess up?" Maria gave her a reassuring pat on the arm. "Nope, just go." In his office, Elias Vance cut straight to the chase, his gaze direct and resolute. "Lena, I'm creating a new role for you. It's called Global Cultural Strategist. You'll be handling international clients, complex translations, ensuring cultural nuances are understood across all our global partnerships. You're vastly overqualified for the work you've been doing, and you proved that, unequivocally, yesterday." Lena blinked, processing the words. This is real?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "As real as it gets. But I have no degree, no formal corporate experience." Elias leaned forward, his conviction palpable. "You speak 9 languages, You solved 3 critical problems for us before lunch yesterday, and you just saved a multi-million-dollar deal with a single joke. That's enough for me. More than enough." Lena crossed her arms, a habit born of years of self-reliance. "People will talk," she said, thinking of the whispers, the snide remarks she'd heard about others promoted too quickly. "Let them," Elias countered, his voice firm, leaving no room for argument. "The results will speak for themselves." She exhaled slowly, a mix of trepidation and exhilarating possibility washing over her. The grind, the struggle, the hidden work. It was all culminating in this moment. "All right," she said, a quiet resolve settling in her voice. "Let's do it." They shook hands, a moment that felt less like a simple agreement and more like a seismic shift, a turning point not just for Lena but for CascadeTech. By Wednesday morning, whispers had spread like wildfire through the company's floors. Lena Petrova, the janitor, was now an executive. Some cheered, recognizing the brilliance of the move. Others scoffed, resentment simmering beneath the surface. In the bustling break room, a product manager with an MBA muttered loud enough to be heard, "I've got an MBA from Stanford and I'm still waiting for a promotion. She was wiping keyboards last week." The stairs in her new small 14th floor office, a space with a simple desk and a solitary fern, were palpable. But Lena kept her old janitor's badge, a silent, defiant reminder of the grind of where she came from. Her first major task arrived not long after, dropped onto her desk by Omar Raj, the head of global partnerships. Omar, a man who prided himself on his meticulous by-the-book approach, eyed her with a skeptical, almost challenging gaze. "Contracts from Seoul, Mumbai, and Milan," he stated, his voice flat. "Highly complex, full of legal and cultural intricacies. Can you handle it?" Lena met his gaze, unflinching. "Give me a few hours," she said, already envisioning the intricate dance of language and law. She did just that. Within those few hours, she meticulously reviewed every clause, every nuance, catching critical errors and potential pitfalls that, Omar later realized, saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars in potential legal battles and renegotiations. Elias checked in later that day, finding Lena still poring over documents. "How's it going?" he asked, a subtle warmth in his tone. "Surviving," she replied, a faint smile touching her lips. Omar isn't thrilled, but he'll come around. "He will," Elias affirmed, his confidence in Lena unshaken. Then Lena looked up, a deeper question in her eyes. "Why me, really?" she asked, a lingering doubt about the sheer magnitude of this leap, this trust. Elias leaned against the doorframe, his gaze thoughtful. "Because I was overlooked once too," he admitted, his voice softer, more vulnerable than she'd ever heard it. "I know what it's like to be invisible, to have ideas, to have talent, but to be boxed in by perception and circumstance." It was a rare, raw glimpse into the CEO's own journey, solidifying the unspoken bond between them. Weeks later, the tangible impact of Lena's presence became undeniable. She joined a crucial meeting with a delegation of Singapore clients, negotiations that had been stalled for months, on the verge of collapsing. The room was tense, the atmosphere thick with frustration. Lena's fluent Mandarin flowed effortlessly, disarming the weary clients. She didn't just translate words. She understood the subtle cultural cues, the unspoken concerns, the points of pride that were blocking progress. Her linguistic grace and intuitive cultural understanding turned a seemingly insurmountable impasse into a firm handshake, securing a lucrative deal. The conference room, once simply 5A, was quietly renamed by the board, the Petrova Hub, a quiet but powerful tribute to her transformative impact. Soon after, a small anonymous note appeared on her new executive desk. "You made me believe I'm not invisible. Thank you." But not everyone was on board with Elias's unconventional gamble. Margaret Sterling, a board member since the dot-com era, a woman of rigid protocols and traditional corporate structures, summoned Lena to her austere office. Sterling, a formidable figure with a sharp gaze, eyed Lena from behind her polished mahogany desk. "No degree, no corporate experience at this level," Sterling stated, her voice clipped, a clear challenge. Why are you here, Miss Petrova? Lena didn't flinch. She met Sterling's gaze evenly. I speak the languages. I close the gaps that conventional hires can't. I fixed your Singapore deal, and I caught errors in Milan's contracts that saved us hundreds of thousands. She spoke with quiet authority, letting her achievements speak for themselves. Sterling paused, her expression unreadable. You're a risk, Lena. Always have been, Lena replied, a hint of defiance in her steady voice, a lifetime of navigating challenges condensed into those 3 words. The next day, Lena worked unfazed, a beacon of calm efficiency. She handled a complex, high-stakes call with CascadeTech's Berlin division, her perfect German bridging cultural and technical divides. Another anonymous note appeared on her desk, simple yet profound. We see you. Soon, Lena was doing more than just translating contracts or closing deals. She was mentoring interns, advising product teams on global market entry strategies, subtly, yet powerfully, shifting the company's culture. Elias Vance, emboldened by Lena's success, proposed a groundbreaking initiative, the Unseen Brilliance program, designed to identify, train, and uplift overlooked staff within CascadeTech, from security guards to cafeteria workers, who possessed hidden talents. Lena herself helped design the program, drawing from her own journey. At a major tech summit in Portland, she stood on stage, a testament to what was possible, and delivered a speech that brought the house down. I was never just a janitor, she declared, her voice resonating with conviction. I was ready. I was always ready. You just have to look beyond the titles, beyond the conventional boxes. The crowd, a mix of industry veterans and eager newcomers, rose to their feet, clapping, their applause echoing through the convention hall. A young woman, tears in her eyes, approached Lena after the speech. My dad's a security guard, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. He speaks 4 languages. I used to hide it. Hide that he was just a security guard. Lena smiled, a warm, knowing smile. Never hide brilliance, she advised, her voice gentle, firm. Let it shine. Lena Petrova didn't change to fit the role. She brought her whole brilliant, resilient self to it. And in doing so, she didn't just rewrite her own story. She helped rewrite the story for everyone at CascadeTech, proving that the most extraordinary talent often hides in the most unexpected places. For those of you who might feel overlooked, unseen, or stuck in a role that doesn't showcase your full potential, keep learning, keep growing, keep nurturing your unique skills and passions, even if they feel like personal hobbies. Your time will come, and your resilience will be your greatest strength. And for those in positions of influence, or even just as observers in your daily interactions, challenge your assumptions. Look deeper. Listen more intently. That seemingly ordinary person you encounter every day might just be a reservoir of untapped brilliance, waiting for an opportunity to shine. What hidden talents might be walking right past you in your own life or workplace? Have you ever dismissed someone based on their role, only to realize the depth of their capabilities later? May you always find the brilliance, both within yourself and in those around you, and may you be courageous enough to let it shine. If this story resonated with you, if it sparked a flicker of inspiration or a moment of reflection, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to our channel for more tales of transformation.